Inside the Boardroom. My name is Amrit Gill, and today we're joined by Kit Mars, co-founder, CEO, and president of Western Alaska Minerals. Welcome to the show, Kit.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate being here again.
Well, let's start with the elevator pitch for Western Alaska Minerals.
Okay, well, I'll give you a short one. They always get longer after we get started, but we are an extremely unique company and stand out among our peers. And one of the reasons is we have a very high-grade discovery at our Water Pump Creek deposit. Now, projects of this type of grade produce very high margins during mining. This type of project gets built while many other large low-grade deposits that have a very high CapEx or capital expenditure do not get built. And so the mineralization at Water Pump Creek has thickness and width, and this allows for very efficient underground mining methods. And this really compares to a lot of very well-known narrow but high-grade vein deposits that have a very more selective, more expensive, less efficient type of mining method. So that's the in a nutshell, the grade is king, and that's what really sets us apart.
Tell us more about the latest news from Western Alaska Minerals.
Well, we have just released our initial resource estimate for Water Pump Creek, and it documents some very high grades of silver, lead, and zinc. So a couple numbers, we're right around 2.4 million tons. The silver equivalent is an amazing 977 grams per ton silver equivalent. That's just pretty close to a kilo of silver per ton, and that translates to 31.4 ounces per ton silver equivalent in ounces. So the grade is very good. I don't want to not mention the zinc, which is becoming very important as a critical mineral. The grade is 11.25% zinc, and the zinc equivalent, as opposed to the silver equivalent, is 26.32%. So very, very good quality, very high quality ounces, so both in the silver and in the zinc content. So it's compares very well with the most successful high-grade projects in production or going into development in the last decade. And that would include Silvercrest, a new producer, Mag Silver in the last year or two, discovery from our friend Peter McGaw, Adriatic in Bosnia, and now Vista Silver, is moving into development. So if you compare our grades to those, I think you'll see that we really stand out.
And what is the potential for expanding your CRD at the Illinois Creek in 2024?
Well, first I want everybody to understand what a carbonate replacement deposit is. It's a little different than you're used to. It's not a vein, not a big porphyry. It's really what it says is lead, zinc, silver is replacing carbonate rocks, and in our place, our deposit is dolomite. So the 2.4 million tons that we have announced of silver, lead, and zinc sulfide resource stands out as the cornerstone for development and future expansion in the entire district. In late 2023, we unveiled our exploration model outlining our system-wide targets within the Illinois Creek system. I ask our listeners to refer to the press release dated December 7th of last year to see that in detail. And then in addition, we've had several years of intense geophysical surveys. In 2023, we completed a very high definition, high quality 3D IP survey. And that, along with the earlier work, demonstrates some very significant exploration potential, both immediately north of Water Pump Creek and then south along the 7.5 long trend that is our LH trend. In addition, the geophysics support a major new target, the Warm Springs target. And this further connects Water Pump Creek with the historic Illinois Creek mine and Gossan deposit that was previously mined.
What is the share structure of the company?
We have a very straightforward structure. We have about 56 million shares that is fully diluted, so it's a very tight share structure. That's a split between common shares and some of our original shareholders from the U.S. before we went public in Canada are in our compressed shares. But those all are equal when everything is done and said. So it's a very tight structure, and most importantly, our founders, myself and my wife Joan, Joe Pekenbrock and a number of our early directors, we have about 33% ownership. So very, very strong insider ownership compared with a lot of our peers.
What due diligence should an investor want to know about Western Alaska Minerals?
Well, first and foremost is our team. We have a very successful exploration team between Joe and I and Andy West, our VP of exploration. We have well over, hate to say it sometimes, 100 years of experience exploring in Alaska. So that's really the starting point. I just mentioned the capital structure. We are in a very safe jurisdiction in the state of Alaska. You don't have the issues that we see with some of the major mines such as Cobre Panama in Panama today. So we have a very straightforward property ownership, no third-party interest, and we're currently in the process of working with the state to convert some of our core claims into a state of Alaska mining lease, which offers even more protection in the future.
And what does this update mean for the future of Western Alaska?
Like our viewers to listeners to really understand that projects of this type with very high grade are really very rare. The resource that we're coming out with, or just come out with, is really just a benchmark. We're just getting started. This is really an exceptionally high grade deposit. So many operating mines start with a resource of this size, but when you know and understand the geology, you have a high confidence level that you can continue to expand the tonnage. There's some deposits that I'm quite familiar with that started out at this size, and 30 years later, still in production, they've produced many times over the initial size of the resource. So this really gives a unique opportunity for investors to participate in a discovery that has the ability to grow into a very high margin producing asset.
And to recap for our viewers, Kit, can you give us the key highlights from today's resource estimate?
Well, thank you. It really, I think one of the key is, I've mentioned the high grade earlier, but we have discovered 75 million ounces of silver equivalent. And so that's really great from 3 years of drilling. We've only drilled about 23,000 meters of drilling at Water Pump Creek. We have a drill discovery rate, which is pretty unique, of over 3,000 ounces of silver equivalent per meter drilled. So that's very, very successful drilling. And this is really just the beginning, the resource we've just announced. So it's not the end all, it's just really the start. We're very under drilled. If you were to look at some compare Water Pump Creek with many of our peer groups, 23,000 meters of drilling, compare something to Vizsla, which has 300,000 meters of drilling. So pretty phenomenal. And so we are under drilled, and we have a lot of expansion potential. We just need to have bigger, better, longer drilling programs, and we will get there.
Thanks so much for your time today, Kit.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on your interview.